Now, if you already have a tuck planche or you're working towards a tuck planche, you know what it should look like. So hips in line with shoulders, protraction, and then just a nice tuck position where you can hold for time in that position. Now, the same as any other static position, we can enter it in two different ways at least. So we can come down from a top position down to our tuck planche. So I could be in like a handstand like so, and then I can come into my tuck and go into a tuck planche and hold there. Or I could pull up from a bottom position, whether that's in an L-sit position or just from the floor, I can lift up into my planche position. Now, from a strength point of view, the lowering down from a handstand is way easier than the lifting up from the floor. However, coming down from a handstand needs quite a bit of balance and control, so they both have their challenges. And today I'm going to focus on the bottom one, the second one. So lifting up from that bottom position through to a tuck planche and then onto the handstand. So actually planche press into handstand. And the cool thing about that is we're actually going to work the eccentric as well, which is that handstand down through the planche. So we're actually working both. But the way we're going to assist ourselves today and make it much easier is use toe assist. Initially to get to the tuck planche itself. And we just need to make sure that when we're doing this that we set up correctly. I want to make sure that my thumbs are in line with my knees. I want to make sure that I'm in external rotation, so I turn the hands out. So I'm set up nicely for that planche. And then from there, protract, push round the back, lift up. You see what I'm doing there is I'm just pushing with one toe. I've already got one side. So my left leg is already in the tuck planche position. And then I can come back down again. Now that's relatively easy because I've done so many thousands of reps of going in and out of that tuck planche position. If you haven't, you might want to just go through that a few times. Make sure you've got that protraction, make sure you've got that external rotation, make sure you've got the thumbs in line with the knees, lift up, push, hold, come back down again. Now if you have a strong tuck planche already, you can do the same thing there, step into it, eccentric, back down. If you're a bit stronger, you won't need the eccentric toe assist. So you go into the position, hold, and then come back down from there. Now we can do the same thing with both feet at the same time. So I can lift up into that position and then lift up with the heels. That's actually much harder than doing the single leg version. So that's our toe assist entry to tuck planche. Very straightforward, but might need a few repetitions to get it down. But what if we want to go beyond that? What if we want to take the hips up higher towards that handstand position? Now we can use exactly the same technique, but one thing that's going to happen depending on your limb length is that you're going to run out of legs. So what I mean by that is we'll get up to a certain height, and then depending on limb length and flexibility, so I come up to the tuck planche, there's the tuck planche to here, now I can't get any higher. And see the hip position isn't quite high enough to go up into a handstand, it's still there. That's actually getting to the easier part. It's much harder when the hip is lower, but it's still going to take a bit of work to get from there upwards. If you don't have so much conditioning in press handstands, handstand push-ups and things like that, you might need a little bit of help there using a little bit of momentum. You might need to give yourself a little bit more of a kick off the foot. So you come up, a little bit of a kick to get up to your handstand position. Now if your handstand balance isn't good enough, you might want to do it back to wall. So exactly the same thing, but just use the wall at the top as much as you need. And as I demonstrated there, we can work that slow eccentric on the way back down as well. But if we are a little bit more conditioned with our handstand balance and strength, we can then go to that position and now take over and go all the way up to handstand and back down using the toe assist as needed. But still try and mimic that real tight tuck position on the eccentric and on the concentric. So when you do want to eliminate the toe assist, you're going to be as close as you can be to the real thing. Oh, and while I remember, I had a YouTube subscriber email me with a question about a painful shoulder. I've tried to reply to your message via my website, but your email is incorrect. If you could message me again and see if you can give me your correct email, you'll know who you are. I'll send back that information regarding your shoulder. So then we can go for the full movement with the eccentric being no toe assist. Little pause for fun in the tuck planche position before we lower back down. And then if we don't want to start to get rid of the toe assist on the concentric, we could just try, see if it works. But if it doesn't work, we might want to give ourselves half the toe assist. So either you try and back off in terms of the amount of push you're giving through the toes, or you just give yourself a little bit of help at the start, but then once you get going, hard to talk there, notice the bendy arms help me out as well. You give yourself just enough toe assist until you get to the point where you can just float, and then you just start to reduce and reduce that until eventually you can do the full movement. I can't talk at the same time with this one. Even then it wasn't super clean, it was a bit clunky through that middle, but it's controlled. I can get the eccentric with a little hold in the tuck planche on the way down. Now another way you can make this slightly easier but still using that same toe assist is to give yourself a little riser. So by using a toe platform to raise yourself up, which is just going to take you closer to that tuck planche, closer to the handstand, and everything works exactly the same. It's just now you have a higher toe, which is going to send you up higher. I can nearly get into my handstand before I got up. And obviously the same on the way back down. Just make sure when you're doing anything like that, actually make sure with all the variations that when you're assisting yourself, you're not opening yourself up. We don't want to be making the lever arms bigger, because when you try and reduce the assistance, it's going to be really, really hard. We still want to be going through that tight tuck position that's going to make the movement as efficient as possible. Oh, and it's 40 degrees in Perth today, hence why the car's pulled back in the garage and I'm hiding at this end. Now once you have that planche press version from the floor, you can then play with the parts of the movement that are easier and extend the body out. So if we think the hardest part is the initial push from the floor up to that tuck planche, and then the first few more degrees until we get to about that position on the handstand, or the press, planche pressy part that takes us to the handstand, so about there onwards. At that point, for a lot of you, it's going to get quite easy. And what you can do is you could extend your legs out in that position if you wanted to. So let me try and demo. So I'll go up to the easier part, then I'll extend the legs out back to maybe a frog position. And then I can do the same on the way down. I could even make it even harder. And now come back in. And then come back down. So very similar to like a skin the cat or a front lever pull, something where you're dynamically moving the body around. The easier parts you can play with. The risk is that you do the same as what people do on the skin the cat, is the butt starts to come up by itself and you actually start closing the hips. You're opening and closing the hip dynamically as you move. I wouldn't recommend you do that. I try and open out to a fixed position and maintain that on the way through. But that's a fun way of starting to play with those more progressed versions of the planche press to handstand, even if you just play with that on the eccentric, the down phase. Let me know if you have any feedback or questions with this one. Stick them down in the comments. I don't always get to every comment, but if you want me to answer questions, have a look at becoming a YouTube member. That way you get access to the Discord and you're supporting the channel. You also get access to that Discord if you're using my app. Links are all down in the description for that, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Thanks, guys.